to noon. Leber.
Oh, please.
Oh, my. Isn't that something?
Holy Toledo! Bullseye!
Hashtag Faith Radio.
You're listening to 9 to Noon.
Yeah! Thank you.
Copyright Dan Barrero.
Oh, good.
Double doink.
Double doink. What's up, Notch?
What's up, dude? What's happening?
My main man, Ben Leber, 651 Carpets Plus Studios, at Nacho Leber via Twitter. TCL, yeah, you know we. Twin Cities Live today, 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5. You can watch Benjamin on Twin Cities Live. What'd you think of the old basketball game last night?
Disappointed, annoyed, irritated. I did not think that wasn't obviously the team that we were super excited to see, that being our Minnesota Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why they came out so sluggish, so off. I understand guys are going to have off nights and stuff like this, but yeah, to come to find out, maybe some of the annoyance kind of like built up after the game, but hearing how seemingly Ant was tired and worn down, and some other guys were tired and worn down, and look, I get it, man. Like, it's late in the season. Mm-hmm. Mavs in the same situation. They played long series. They haven't got much rest. They had to travel here and stay in a hotel, which, I mean, we've talked about this before. Sometimes it actually helps to get away from distractions. Right. I don't know. I was disappointed. With all that talk, all that talky talk that, our players are saying and everybody's talking about. Yeah. They're not being about it right now. He wanted to talk all that mess and, say he's going to guard Kyrie and he's going to do this and he's going to step up and then to come out somewhat flat.
But what mess? And after the power trip, no idea what you're doing. So assumedly not listening to 9 to Noon, which doesn't make me right here. Mm-hmm. But that it's like, what do you think about Dallas? After Game 7, the question was, what do you think about Dallas or whatever? It's like, I'm going to check Kyrie. Well, that's not trash talking.
No, that's not trash talking.
That's not mess. It's manufactured crap.
I think there was a way that he said it. I think there was a tone and a way that he said it. Like, yep, that's my guy. Now,
right.
It works and it feels and it's great if it does work out and you do rise up and you shut him down and all this other stuff. Now, I get it from Kyrie's standpoint. He's going to sit there and he was talking about at the end of the game and the post game. Like, yeah, I took that as motivation. Like, why wouldn't I?
Right.
Like, he didn't see it as just like he didn't view it as like, well, he's just. He's just saying like he's just stating the obvious. Well, I'm going to be locked up on Kyrie. There was a way that he said it that he was going to be like, "Yep, okay, I'm going to try to shut this guy down, and I'm up for the challenge." So Kyrie upped his game. Yeah, I did not like how, we heard Parker Fox on the Power Trip give a great breakdown of this. It just seemed like we did not adjust defensively. I feel like we have the better skilled offense. We have a better skilled roster on the starters and on the bench, yet we don't utilize the guys in the way it seems like to stop what Dallas was doing. Mm-hmm. And then our guys are tired. And then late in the game, and Finch has been doing this the last couple of series. I mean, I didn't watch every Timberwolves game this whole season, but like I don't understand why you take your two best players and you sit them on the bench for long extended periods of time. And then you just wait, you just watch the Mavs go on a run. You don't call timeouts. Mm-hmm. You don't do anything else. You just like let them go on a run. You're like, okay, I've kind of predetermined that our guys are going to get this rest here in the fourth quarter. They're going to get their rest and they're going to go back in the game. Like it seems like there's a rigid approach to the gameplay.
I also think it's a fine line of delineation here, where if you do believe off a 7-game series where you bounce the champs. And you're coming from altitude with one fewer day to rest than the team you're playing. The team you're playing and the Mavericks, they wanted to make it racehorse basketball right out of the gate. We want to run because we believe you will get tired and we will beat you down and you'll miss shots. And to a certain extent, they were right. So, I guess I didn't really notice what you're saying, but now that I think about it, I can understand why you or others would say it. And I'm not going to scapegoat it here or anything. I would guess the answer would have to be, Edwards was dead tired the final 5 minutes of the game. So it was visually, you could even see it. So maybe it was just like, I got to rest my guys' legs if we have a chance to win this thing. Maybe that was the answer.
Well, maybe that is the answer. Maybe we are all just emotionally overreacting after game one. And look, I'm not.
Oh, the Wolves will win Friday. And quite honestly, I don't think it's going to be close.
You think so?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful that they'll win. I don't know if it's going to. I'm not as confident as you are. That's going to be.
I ain't talking 20, but
it's going to be a convincing win.
Convincing can be subjective, but I truly believe they will win. Like let's look at a football analogy, okay? It's like with what we just saw with the Vikings and that 4-quarterback trick, okay? So take Cousins out of the mix. You got super special Dobbs, you got Jaron Hall, and you got Nick Mullins. All right, so we're calling and watching games here, there, and everywhere with Dobbs and then with Hall. All right, now Mullins comes in, and they may lose, but it looked like what you would expect from a Vikings offense, like that Cincinnati game, remember? See, what I'm saying here is like last night did not look like what we expect overall from a Timberwolves high-end or relatively high-end performance.
Right. So
that's where it's okay, 49 threes. I'm not a fan over the long haul for multiple reasons. The fatigue factor, I believe is legitimate, but I believe that there was too much focus on it maybe by the players into the game, and that's a distraction you're putting on yourself that you don't really need to put on yourself. But the whole thing, like the bad decisions on defense, guys wide open, Kyrie just streaking wide open down the key, then you get a wide open three. They're losing Luka for wide open threes. It just did not look like what we've come to expect from this high-end defense for whatever the reason. So it's kind of like that Vikings analogy. It's like, all right, Vikings lost at Cincinnati, but the offense looked like what we would expect, even though they weren't able to get the money. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. That's kind of what I think I'm talking about as well, is that defensively, it just wasn't the same sort of tenacity and sense of urgency that we've seen in the past.
Like on the ball, on the perimeter.
Yeah, and
the clap your hands. Come on now.
Yeah, and they even sort of talked about it before the game about how they do feel more comfortable as the underdog. It is this weird perception. I don't know why athletes, I've been in it as well. It's like you want everybody to be against you. Like it's really easy to find that fire within when everybody's doubting you. But when everybody's praising you and everybody thinks that you're favored and you should be winning this thing, and they're like, all right, Wolves in 5, and, this is not going to be a close series, you don't really want to hear that because now you do have to manufacture some of that fire. And, it's disappointing that they know it, they recognize it, they talked about it, but yet they fell into the same trap. So that's where I feel like as a coaching staff and as professional players, like, look, guys, it's one thing if you walk away from the game. And I think even Kyle Rudolph said this one time. This was, back when he was playing with the Vikings. Like, yeah, you know what? After a couple months of reflection, yeah, we kind of did. We went into the season a little high on our horse, and we just thought we could roll in, not work as hard and all this. That was a self-reflection months after the results. They already knew going into the game, well, we just operate better as underdogs and we just got to fight through it. And you still fell into the same trap. Like
right.
that, I think that like from a mentality standpoint, as professional athletes, as professional coaches, that was disappointing.
Ben Leber at Nacho Leber, Twin Cities Live today, 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5. He does a really good job on TV. If we were to take the analytical part out of it, or pulling for the Wolves and no microphones, we're just a couple of guys chatting about the game and stuff, like casual NBA guys, I'd be like, Kyrie Irving, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Good Lord. How good? Oh, wow, with Kyrie Irving last night. Wow.
I know.
So smooth, Captain Cool.
He's so smooth. And, again, I couldn't be, more impressed with how he just handled all the ridiculous, dumb questions on the TNT postgame. And he just was a true pro. And it was like, man, I can see why this guy's likable. Like, there was a time where I'm like everybody else, like,
Flat Earth, though.
I'm like, yeah, this guy he just doesn't get it. Like, but I almost like, not the flat Earth part, but like, I kind of respect the fact that he's going to speak his mind, whether he's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I like his fearlessness, the way that he lives his life, how fearless that he plays the game. Big fan. And look, we're going to have to stop. Like, he's on a heater right now.
Yeah,
I mean, he's feeling
smooth.
himself for sure. So we're going to have to find a way to kind of, knock his confidence down a little bit.
And see, it. I want to get into some Vikings OTAs, too, before you leave in about 15 minutes. But the it didn't have the feel or look like we've come to expect this squad to look. Defense complementing offense first, and then offense playing off of it. And what really plays into that, it's just weird, man. Jaden McDaniels and Slow-Mo had half of our points at halftime. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like... And
then Slow-Mo doesn't really see any time in the second half until the end of the game,
right,
when we need it the most. We need our best players on the court. And he's on the court?
Yeah, Finchie in his press conference was like, I should have played him more. So, I mean, he called himself out on that. Yeah, but that's antithetical to... It doesn't exactly have to be Edwards. 19 first half points, Edwards 22 second half points, Karl Anthony Towns not in foul trouble, high percentage threes, 12 It doesn't have to be that every single time, but it's like McDaniels and Slow-Mo. That's the metaphorical icing on the cake, and yes, you'll take it, but it just plays into the weird of it. Now, the Timberwolves lose games, or can be at their worst when the national attention is that of effusive praise. And compared to Jordan, get blown out. Defense as good as the 85 Bears, get blown out. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because, I mean, you were in locker rooms. Coaches hate when there are stories all over social media about how good, impressive, and dominant their teams are.
Yeah.
What was last night like a reality check with that?
I think so.
Me too.
I think it really was. I think it was like maybe in the end, when this series is over and hopefully we're going to the finals, that we look back and said that was a needed deal for this team from a mental checkpoint of, hey, you're one of the four teams. Act like it. You do belong here. Don't be surprised about how good you are. Don't be surprised about your grit. That's what you've trained for. That's what the whole season's been about. So when you win this, crazy Game 7 in Denver, don't think that that's the finish line.
Yeah.
Now you can talk like that. You can talk about like, well, hey, we're hungry and this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. Like, but the way that you guys played in Game 1 of this new series made it seem like you guys feel like you crossed the finish line. That's not the end goal here. The end goal is to hoist that championship trophy. So find a way to find a chip on your shoulder. I don't care if you've got dig and all you are looking at is the Dallas newspaper.
Yeah.
If it's only that you're getting your information from, and they're just talking about how good this Mavs team is and whatever, if you need to tack all that stuff all over your locker room, then go ahead, because listening to local media, listening to us, listening to some of the national pundits and all this other stuff is not healthy for this team.
Checking reality. Does it bug you in any way Justin Jefferson is not signed?
Yes.
It does?
It does.
Why?
I think time leads to questions, and I don't want to question this situation.
I agree.
I think there's, I've heard from other people, like, are they going to do it? Is he unhappy? Is he, everybody's speculating the negative, and I'm over here being the biggest cheerleader, at least to the people that I'm talking to. I'm like, no, it'll get done. Mm-hmm. It's going to get done. He seems like he wants to be here. Where else is he going to go? Mm-hmm. Why would he want to do this? Like, he's got a great opportunity to win here, to be the guy. They're literally going to build this team around him. And I know that we're all hopeful that McCarthy takes over as the quarterback spot, but this is JJ's franchise. Like, he is going to be the face of this franchise and should be the face of this franchise.
He is.
So I don't know if you're going to get that sort of love any other place. You might get more money. Your pockets might get a little deeper. But are you going to be the face of the franchise and all the things that come with that? I think that's the Minnesota Vikings is the best place for him. So all of that being said, every day and every hour that goes past in this offseason where he's not signed, when you hear from Kwesi and everybody else like, hey, priority number one this offseason is going to be to get JJ to sign. Well, if it's priority number one, let's get it done. And so that, yeah, I'm getting a little irritated with it.
So in the vein of maybe Wolves players, we're assuming they're feeling their oats, they're reading their headlines, and that's part of the process of a team growing in maturity, needing to do so over the course of a postseason. Are any of JJ's teammates reading headlines and paying attention to this thing too? You think that's impacting their mentality as they all get focused to go back to work for OTAs and minicamp?
Maybe. I mean, I think the thing is, like, those guys know the true intentions of what's going on. I mean, I'm sure JJ is talking to some guys here and there and through a game of telephone. The rest of the locker room's kind of at least getting an understanding where he's at. And the fact that we haven't heard anything negative come out of this, it's really, really hard to keep secrets under wraps, especially player secrets. So if his intention was negative or he was souring on this idea of being the true franchise guy here, I think that we'd hear about it at this point. So I think it is a matter of him just making sure that every single clause and every penny is accounted for in the way that he wants. And I think that his intentions are to be here. I think that he likes it here. I think that he wants to build something with McCarthy as well. So I think there is a little bit of it, but maybe not as much as we're all making out to be as fans.
If it was a 50-50 wager, meaning your dollar against somebody else's dollar, and it was a large sum of money that you were wagering involving this, which side would you take? Justin Jefferson will play and be active week 1 against the Giants for the Minnesota Vikings. Would you bet yes, he will, or no, he won't? With a contract.
With a new contract?
Yeah, with a new contract.
I say yes. I say it gets done.
Right.
Yes, I say it gets done.
But if you say it gets done, and I asked Florio the same thing, and I'm not being confrontational. You know I'm not like that.
Yep.
If and he didn't say, yeah, I think it'll be done. I do too. And yeah, it's weird to me too. But like if you learn in football mind and somebody close to the team and that's your proclamation, if you think it's going to be done, then why would it bug now? Because maybe the price is going up?
Yeah, maybe the price is going up, and I just feel like, again, with more time in between, I just don't want there to be any doubt. I don't want any other team to come swooping in, talking to his agent, sweetening the deal, him talking to his boys and other teams and doing, all this due diligence. And I would feel much more comfortable if he's just, if he's just,
I got you.
If he's just locked out.
Like the rare Reuben comes out.
We just know, at least for the next 5 or 6 years or where it's going to be, it's like, he's our guy. Yep. And I think that brings a huge amount of comfort to Darnold and the whole offense and the KOC to know what they have. And I'm not saying that even if he signs a contract today, he's going to show up for OTAs. I still think that he stays away from OTAs. He's just going to do his own thing. I don't think he needs. But this is critical. Now, if you're looking at the top down of this for this season, if they truly want to be competitive, whether it's going to be with Darnold or McCarthy, he's got to be as many practices as possible. Right. Whether it's OTAs voluntary or mandatory during mini camps and all this other stuff, like every single rep is going to matter when it comes to their development as quarterbacks in this offense. So I hope something gets done, and I hope that he's on the field soon.
So if he's in town for a Wolves game, should he be at OTAs, assuming he's not?
No.
It's non-player, right?
No.
Got it.
I don't think it matters.
Okay. How far do we think McCarthy is from starting, and why?
I guess we don't really know how far is. I think that, I was saying earlier when they had the schedule release, that we have like a 3-game road stretch in the second half of the season after the bye week. And I was saying, I could see a best case scenario for him to start in that next 3-game home stretch when we're back. And I feel like that's enough time in the course of the season to see how, Darnold's doing it and see what the game flow is like and understand how game plans are put together and, to have, 7 months under your belt to learn KOC's system and the way he likes to call plays. I think that would maybe that to me feels like a natural progression.
Yeah.
Rushing him out there on week 1. I mean, look, if he's
no chance.
If he's a super stud and he's ready and they're like, this guy's a 21-year-old phenom and he just like picks this thing up and he can start lacing it in there and throwing it to tight windows and he can anticipate and all that stuff. Well, then great. Then we have an absolute, jackpot with that pick. I just don't see that happening. So if it's going to happen this season, I think that late in the season, that 3-game home stretch will be a good time to do it.
Lastly, Vikings OTAs, year 2 for Jordan Addison. What should we expect to be better?
Well, he really it's funny because he really developed as the season went along, becoming a true deep threat and handling a lot of the press and all this other, the physicality of the game. That's the thing that I was really worried about was he's not a very big guy and he's not as thick as Justin. And Justin's still not, I wouldn't consider it a thick bodied guy, but he's bigger than Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
I was really concerned that he was going to consistently get off the press. He was going to consistently be accountable in the short area. And he was that. So I just think for him, it's a matter of just, there may be game plans. And even if JJ's in there, let's just say there's a game or two where JJ's banged up and he's not playing. He's going to get double covered. Mm-hmm. So I think the next iteration of Jordan Addison is just watching how Justin fights through double teams, how he understands when there's going to be a bracket coming his way, when he sees a lurking safety and he's got to run that inside route, how he's going to beat that guy. Because I think Jordan Addison has earned the respect of a lot of defenses around the league in year 1. And there are going to be times where in certain situations, if we start showing our hands on 3rd and short, game situations, parts of the field, and when it becomes situational football, he's going to see double teams. And he's going to have to beat those double teams to pick up those first downs.
Have a beautiful day. And we will watch you on the television today at 3 o'clock on Channel 5, Mr. Ben.
Thanks a lot. I'll be at Target Field.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
TCL at Target Field?
TCL Target Field. No game today,
right.
But we'll be broadcasting about all the cool things they're doing there this summer.
Very cool. Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter. Talkbacks and the telephone, if you're interested. Some calls on the Wolves loss to Dallas, 800-320-5326. 800-320-5326. That's around the corner on KFAN. Audio.
Hi, fellas. First of all, I believe we'll be absolutely fine. We're the better team, in my opinion. 2 things really frustrated me. First of all, the way we defended the high pick and let them get so deep into the lane. Second of all, and most frustrating, is I don't understand what Ant's hesitation to be aggressive on the drive was. It seemed like he was really settling for perimeter shots, and they weren't really even double teaming him last night. That has to change. He's got to get more assertive and go into the bucket.
What'd you think?
Hi.
Hey, what'd you think of that one on the talkback machine, Mr. Nordquick?
No, I appreciated all of the talkbacks here that we're going to continue playing throughout the show. That one in particular, though, hit me not from the high pick angle, but the Ant and the aggression and whether it's tired. Like we've gone over it in a few different ways thus far, 9 to noon. But the key for me, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but I talked about it 2 different times during the Nuggets series. This team's better when they get to the rack and the points in the paint. You look at the disparity, and you could almost pinpoint, without even looking at the final score of the Nuggets games, who won points in the paint. That's who won the game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very similar here, albeit for a little bit different reasons. There are advantages to Ant's aggression and getting to the hoop. The key is, and it's one thing we talked about yesterday's show, and it never came to fruition, getting Lively, getting Gafford, getting some of these guys into foul trouble. And one way to do that is being aggressive and working that ball inside. It did not happen.
Love it.
And so whether it was your angle with you're shooting a ton of threes and you're getting the runouts and now we're getting gassed, or from my angle, winning points in the paint, all of those things. A lot of people down on Rudy, by the way. I was actually that second talkback I was going to play. It was kind of funny. He's like, hey,
we'll play it.
He's like, well, I'll just play it now. It made me laugh.
Hi, Steve from Blaine. Just curious if there's any rules as to letting Rudy Gobert borrow some wide receiver gloves from Justin Jefferson? Thanks.
Rudy caused me to go to the tweet machine last night. And this is, the FISA, Fairness and Stifle Tower Act. In the first half, Rudy's hustle on the 50-50s in the little plays was massive. Gobert was massive in so many ways in the first half. But in the second half, causing me to go to the tweet machine, man, was how many times can you be right next to the basket and pass the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, pump, and again, I'm not trying to sound like James Naismith here, and I understand everything's going fast, and a lot of attention comes down to Stifle when he gets the ball, when he actually holds on to it. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you, man. 3 o'clock today, TCL. Yeah, way. But go study that raw, man. All right, 3-2. Right, but I mean, it just, when you're 7 feet and you have it down there, to get the ball up and then pump fake and dunk would just seem like what you would do.
Right.
But he just kept passing it by the rim, man, and started working on my last nerve. What about you?
Well, and there were some stone hands moments. And we've seen that game by game where you mentioned the 50-50 battles, and he's got some clomper to him. He rolls in there. Now he's not, old school, just massive, completely immobile big, but in the same sense, I don't know. It's just the nature of being 7 and change with a 20-foot wingspan.
Got size 21 feet.
But maybe maybe from a motor skills and the grasping of the ball perspective, and it's easy for me to watch this from afar. The hands weren't fantastic at all times, but in the end, this is the conundrum that is Rudy. He was a plus 10 last night.
Yeah.
And in the 10 minutes he's not on the court, they're a minus 13.
Excellent point.
So it's just, again, and that's where I love that you have Dane on. We're going to have Trent on during the final hour. I watched the game. I know the game, but there is an extent where I am not an expert. And it comes to the aesthetics of Rudy Gobert and, working in, okay, so how can he potentially affect a Kyrie in game 2? How are they using him against this different lineup? There's something about Rudy where we can make all the jokes, and Draymond on national TV will find any reason he can to rip Rudy and all of this. Rudy, again, the blame game is so heavy with the French guy, but all he does is put the team in spots to win. They're always better when Rudy is on the court.
Thank you.
I don't get it. Just get to the freaking paint. Be aggressive. I hope Ant had the best sleep of his life last night.
And see with the I've said it a couple of times. When I'm not a fan of the Timberwolves taking 49 3-point shots. Okay, now it was a product of the game to a certain extent. I understand that. Parker Fox, the who plays for the Golden Gophers basketball team and knows more about the philosophical nature and the nuance of basketball than do we. He's the co-host of Howlin' with the Homies with young Maxwell. He sent me a text about 10 minutes ago in meshing what legitimately, was at least to a certain extent or whatever percent of the L you would put on fatigue. All right, again. They're not machines. They're not robots, man. When you beat the world champions over 7 games and you do so on the road and the bouquets are being thrown at you and you get home super late, then you chill and you're looking at social media or the Windhorse or the Charnanias or the whomevers and you're the cat's ass. All right. Everything you see, read, and hear, you're the cat's ass. And as Nordo so adroitly reported or shared about 2.5 years ago, well, why does something good have to be the cat's ass? Because all the dogs want it.
I always love that one.
So when you got the whole day to so Parker texts fatigue, and he's dead right. I've heard this a million times. Fatigue leads to settling for jump shots and long threes instead of getting to the rim and making the defense work.
Yeah.
That plays into it. It's not for us to quantify what percentage of a tightly contested, spine-tingling loss plays into this. He's dead right. When you're tired, it's harder to dribble, and it's harder to bend down and bend the knees and beat somebody off the dribble.
Yeah.
It's harder to use your offhand, and it takes just a deeper breath or a deeper level of inspiration, but condition to get to the basket.
Yeah.
So you settle.
It's just like me 10 minutes into my kids' soccer practice.
You settle for threes.
Extra water breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I always love that one.
But they know that. And that leads into the idea of being fine moving forward.
Yeah.
The way that I put it with you is I feel like in some ways last night was like, we have a hypothesis of how to handle this extremely different team than we've faced in the Mavericks, not only earlier this season, but in the two teams we faced off against in the playoffs. I got this hypothesis. Well, we didn't execute on it. That's not good. But now we know, and Ant and these guys know better than anybody else that they're winning when they're aggressive. Mm-hmm. You have to have faith that the flow on Friday is a little bit different. You get Lively and Gafford, some of these guys. Yep. Like Kyrie was taking fouls 20 seconds in the game last night, but you're never really able to capitalize on that.
But Luka clomped the entire first half indecisively.
Yeah.
See, that's what the conundrum is here, is they jacked up Luka, but Kyrie got loose. So then in the second half, they jacked up Kyrie, and then Luka got loose. That's what best 1-2s do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And you were talking a bit about it with Leber, but they never had a moment in the game where there was neither Luka nor Kyrie.
Excellent point.
I think maybe moving forward and figuring that out, like we should never have a stretch where both Ant and Cat are on the chill. Those sorts of things in terms of the rotations. They're the experts, not me.
I know what you mean.
Let me hit another talkback from a familiar voice.
And then Mitch, we're going to get your phone call. Go ahead.
Jimmy K, King of the Rubes here, reporting in after game one. Not worried. We decided to play their game last night. Yep. We didn't play our game. Reminded me of when we try and run up and down the floor with Oklahoma City. We've all seen that game before. Get back to doing what you do, being big, being physical, going to the hoop, attracting fouls. And remember, it can't be Wolves in 5 if you don't lose 1. Ow!
It's a simple math equation,
right? I mean, I'm not trying to be James Naismith or Pete Axelm here. God rest his soul if he's dead. But I liked Dallas marginally last night for several different reasons, and I liked the Timberwolves on Friday. And I ain't talking point spreads. I'm just talking win the game. It's the Timberwolves are going to win Friday night, and the series officially is going to be on. But off Rudy and catching like Adrian in practice and the functioning clankability off his hands, it's all mechanical and everything, like Peterson trying to catch passes. Credit the Dallas Mavericks, man. I mean, they deserve so much credit for several things. But the moves, which we've talked about, bringing in Daniel Gafford, all right, when he played for the Bulls, they were L's. When he played for the Wizards, they were capital L's. So he's out of whatever basketball version of purgatory, waiting for some type of dream to be realized that he was in. So he's like, hey, Luka and Kyrie, this is fun. I think I'm going to play hard. And he did. Same thing with P.J. Washington. Here's where I want to credit Dallas. And you triggered this by what you said about Rudy and catching and holding offensive rebounds and just making the catch fluid. Gafford and Lively can catch. Gafford and Lively,
they're athletic,
have smooth hands. And they catch the ball, man. They just go ahead and watch it. They grab every rebound they have a chance to grab, they grab. Ain't bouncing off knuckles, ain't bouncing off elbows. They just have smooth hands, and they're very good catchers, and I think that's underrated for those bigs.
Sturm said it yesterday when he joined you from Dallas, Bob Sturm, that Gafford and Lively, when things are going well, they will combine for 20 and 20.
Yeah.
It was 19 points, 20 rebounds, and 3 blocks yesterday.
And Lively was the better of the two yesterday. Gafford might be the better of the two next game. So they've done a good job there. Mitch, Hanover, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Kind of a two-part question for you real quick. So first off, do you think the Timberwolves at home, is it a maturity issue coming home where we've struggled at home in the playoffs? And also number two on that, kind of what you guys just touched on, I think a big part of shooting so many threes last night, I think we fell right into kind of Dallas's game plan of keep us out of the paint, and whoever wins the paint battle wins the game. Your thoughts on that?
Thank you. That the home bit jumped into my heart during the Nugget series when Finch made the joke like, do you like spending that much time around your family?
I always love that one.
I mean, he didn't get canceled, so we can start there. But secondly, there's truth to that. There are more distractions at home for the home team, with the clompability that goes into tickets and just whatever, man. I mean, like the table you select at the free house and the company you're keeping, there are just more distractions.
There is, yeah.
I don't know. That's a weak excuse if it truly is an answer. Because you earned, well, then don't earn the right to be home. Okay? Purposely lose at the right time so you can do everything on the road. So you can be away, so you can be unimpeded when it comes to distraction.
Yeah, after spending all that time rooting for, hoping for, hosting a playoff series, if only we could get out of the play-in and get in. We could have just been a 6 or a 7 seed, and we would have been better off.
Right. And I forgot the second part of
points in the paint, win the game.
Yeah, that was massive. Nordo hit on it hard yesterday in previewing and today in discussing with the 6-2. But the 62 points. But Jimmy K, the king of the rubes, he's the king for a reason. He sees things clearly. We took the bet. We took their bet. Here's the bet. We're gonna run, and we're gonna run till we take your T-Wolves away. And it's because the bet is we believe coming from the altitude, off 7 games, bouncing that big guy who's the best and bouncing the champs, we think you're going to be tired. We think you're going to be overly amped because of this crowd. And eventually it's going to bear its fruit in the second half, and you're going to miss shots, and you're going to get tired defensively, and you're going to settle for long threes. And the Mavericks were right. And personally speaking, doesn't mean I'm right. I think the Wolves took that bet, and it was akin to hitting a 16 against an ace, and you got a 10, and you busted. So, but they'll win on Friday. They'll win on Friday. The game flow will be different. There are going to be different facets that are going to look more like Wolves basketball, because the Wolves have shown us this during the Denver series. You get those bouquets and accolades thrown at you, man, and you get killed. When you got a little adversity, and maybe they thrive drama, maybe they crave drama, and they thrive on drama. Well, that's the situation when you've lost home court advantage. So I firmly expect them to turn it around Friday. Man.
Welcome back. News to Nord is brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park. Live racing schedule, CanterburyPark.com. Feeling the felt all day, every day, poker, blackjack, and table games. Thank you to Canterbury Park for bringing you this segment 9 to noon.
Bring the babies for the Bulldogs on Sunday if you ain't doing anything, 1 o'clock.
Oh, hell yeah. Back to the talkback machine.
Hey, Paul. Elliot here, Buffalo, Minnesota. So I'd like to use an analogy here. I kind of think of that game as sort of a first pitch in baseball. So you step in the box and you take the strike, but now you've seen it. Now you know what they're going to throw at you.
Here we go.
And now you know what you have to do throughout the at-bat or throughout the series to properly compete against the opponent and hopefully come out on top.
I think that's an elite take.
Beautiful, my man. That's a fan. Who sponsors Vikes Bites again?
Vikes Bites is brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, because the note sheet is too far away for me to get. But that's the talk back of the day, which means a $500 comp from what? What happened? Why are you laughing? What happened? Where were you last night?
Feel free to pick it at the free
house. Was it mighty? Was everybody letting it all hang out?
They were.
At the free house.
It was a blast last night, man. But then
looked great on at least what I saw on Twitter.
But it was rocking because it was not like Game 3 was against the Nuggets, where it was catastrophe early and often. It was right down to the wire, and then
game went till about 10 and change. So when did you leave? 8:45.
I left as Conley was taking the free throws, and then at the end of the game, the one where he intentionally tried to miss it.
Yeah.
For a last gasp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the the rest of the team, not just Chris Finch, addressed the media last night as well, including, it's playing into what you and Leber were talking about. Here's Jason Kidd embracing the dog role.
Yeah, we're the underdogs, so we're just going to, embrace that role and play and understand that's what we are. And on the road, we got to find a way to win.
See, I can't handle that. I appreciate it. And Jason Kidd, coach of the Mavericks, he's succinct. He's to the point, said what he needed to say.
Yeah, he's the bomb.
But all quotes in the NBA during press conferences are like 5 seconds long. For instance, Jaden McDaniels, what happened regarding Luka and that defense in the second half?
I mean, he just started making shots. I was playing the same defense. He was just making it with my hand in his face.
Okay, perfect. There it is.
Jaden's not the most loquacious of athletes in the history of athletes ever to be athletes.
Here's Anthony. What went wrong last night?
I don't know. I think we just came out flat today, and then we found our energy, then we went back to being flat. So I think it was just on us. Everything was on us today.
Microanalyzing a 3-point game like we've done a bit of earlier in the show. Missed free throws, right? I mean, how much does energy play into missing ones from the free spot? And all of that. But I saw a couple of texts earlier, PA. It was just like after game 3 of the Nuggets series. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Anthony who just came out and said, I didn't have it tonight. Mm-hmm. I'll have it next game.
Yeah.
Do you worry? I mean, because now we're putting Anthony.
Well, now he's afraid to say it because the Windhorse and Charamias of the world are going to, make it look like he's cast an affront on the entire city of Dallas.
So I don't completely know how to pronounce it. But it's either Charania or Charania. Shams.
Who's that?
The athletic.
Oh, my reference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only reason is because if you keep calling him, the Chronicles of Charnia, and then we can't make fun of Charch for constantly mispronouncing names, Daryl Revis, and all of these things. We can't make fun of Charch if we don't get Charania right.
That's a very good point.
Do you think? Because we put Anth on a pedestal, and he's earning it, he's climbing it, and nearly a triple-double last night, even though the shots weren't falling from the perimeter, needs to be more aggressive, all of those things. But I saw a couple of texts this morning like, is it worrisome that now this is the second game of the playoffs after a loss in which Ant's just basically saying, yeah, didn't really have it, so there it is, and we'll get it next game.
I like that. I mean, because it's an excuse, but it's also honest. I mean, it's because we are and we are a football culture. Okay, so analyzing one game a week is different than analyzing 4 games a week.
Yeah,
off 2 days of travel from the Rocky Mountains, Davy, and we got 82 of them to get here, and then after that we get 4, so we're at 86. Then we get 7, so we're at 93. That's 94 games.
It is.
It's there are going to be times they do not have it for whatever the reason. But to that point is, while not having it, how do you handle that? Minimizing the damage, minimizing what is not there. It's when we were texting last night, I don't know if I said this to you or somebody else, but the game was fascinating. It was a beautiful flow to it with Irving and what he was doing. McDaniels, kind of an under the radar type story that, we're a week removed from Jaden McDaniels shooting air balls on corner threes.
And now he can't miss.
And now he's Reggie Miller, with Reggie Miller in the building. So that's fascinating. And just watching Carl push through an ineffective first half, and he just was indecisive. And now all of a sudden he's Caitlin Anthony Towns hitting from 35. The Gobert with the clankability. Rudy, why aren't you dunking? Ooh, look at Rudy take away that drive with the weak side defense. I mean, in the first part of the game for me, the Wolves were outplaying them, at least aesthetically, so badly that I'm like, I think they were up 8 or 9 or whatever. I mean, it felt like we should be up 15 or 20.
Yeah.
Luka could not pull his head out of his bleep for like the first X amount of the game. Well, the final 16 minutes of the first half, second quarter, and 4 minutes of the first quarter, Kyrie just was like, hey, Luka, I got you, man. All right, we're going to get to halftime.
Yeah.
And we're going to go and fix this thing. And I got you.
I think it was when they went that. Wolves were up 21-12.
There you
and
go.
then boom, it was an 8-0 run. Suddenly it's 21-20. I think there's a triple or an and one in the mix, and it was on from there for the rest of the first half.
But Parker Fox is an elite basketball mind. The when you're tired and it's not going your way, human nature is to settle for jump shots. Human nature is to settle for threes because it's easier than it is getting to the basket. And they did that way too much. So like with that and Ant stuck on 19 and some other facets of the game that probably won't take place Friday, they lost by 3. And now, granted, for the final minute, it was more than a puncher's chance to win, but it was still close enough late so they could come back and win. After, in the first half, I'm like, damn, man, we're up 6 points. Feels like we should be up 15. Fascinating game last night, one about which we will chat with the In the Zone tandem around the corner on KFAN.